All right, so this is probably going to be a lengthy tale, and yes, I recognize I might sound like a total jerk here, but I really need some outside perspective. My whole situation has been weighing heavily on me, and I just don't know what to do anymore. Let me start off by saying that my sister, Chloe, who is 32, and I, at 30, have always been quite close. We share that sibling bond that makes you feel like you can conquer anything together. However, Chloe and I differ drastically when it comes to money management. Chloe has always been, well, not the greatest when it comes to handling her finances. Imagine someone who sees something sparkly and immediately has to buy it, no matter the cost. Unfortunately, this impulsive nature often leads her to decisions like taking out loans for vacations or other non-essential things that, in all honesty, she really shouldn't be spending money on. Meanwhile, I've taken the opposite route in life. You see, I've been scrimping and saving for as long as I can remember, all in hopes of one day getting enough money together for a down payment on a house. It's something I value deeply and have worked tirelessly toward. Balancing all of my expenses and sticking to a budget just seemed like the smart, responsible thing to do. I'd say I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to money, always thinking about the future instead of the present whims. It's because of this huge difference in how we approach our finances that we occasionally butt heads. I find it challenging sometimes to see her make decisions that, from my perspective, are not wise. But she's my sister, and family is family, and I've always been there for her whenever she needed support. I really thought that despite our differences, Chloe and I were on the same page about looking out for each other. Yet, this divergence in how we handle money has created tension at times. But at the end of the day, we're siblings. And though our attitudes toward money are worlds apart, our bond has always been strong enough to hold us together. Or at least, that's what I thought. Little did I know, things were about to get a lot more complicated, and our financial philosophies were going to clash in a way I hadn't foreseen. About a year and a half ago, Chloe stumbled into something that seemed, at least to her, like a golden opportunity to turn her financial life around. It was one of those buzzword-heavy ventures that we've all heard about, multi-level marketing, or MLM, as it's often abbreviated. Chloe suddenly became enthusiastic about these trendy wellness drinks, which were promised to deliver unbelievable health benefits. To hear her talk about them, it was like she had found the fountain of youth and prosperity all bottled up. Chloe was convinced that this was her ticket to financial independence. She was taken in by the allure of being her own boss, setting her own hours, and making tons of money. It was all part of this idealized boss babe dream that she referred to tirelessly. She immersed herself completely, attending every seminar and workshop available. She frequently talked about climbing the ranks, earning bonuses, and even getting a company car if she sold enough. It sounded promising, but I'd heard the same script from MLMs before, and I couldn't help but feel skeptical. At first, I tried to be supportive. After all, Chloe was following what she believed could be a fruitful endeavor. I thought perhaps she'd make something worthwhile out of it. However, as time went on, my concerns grew. She started plowing substantial amounts into buying inventory, the promotional materials, attending countless paid meetings, and so-called essential training sessions. Whatever savings she had slowly dwindled away. I did my best to convey my worries, gently at first, suggesting diversification of her efforts and maybe dialing back the spending until she saw some actual returns. I hinted at how risky it could be to put all her financial eggs into one basket. Chloe, absorbed with her dream, was oblivious to the warning signs flashing all around her. As her spending increased, I had to be more direct. Chloe, these ventures often seem promising, but can drain resources if not carefully managed, I'd say, hoping to nudge her back from what looked like a financial cliff. I'd even point out stories of others who had found themselves left with garages full of unsold products. But Chloe, caught up in the glossy brochures and success stories, was sure she would defy the odds. It wasn't long before everything unraveled. The supposed business didn't bloom as promised, the profits didn't roll in, and the expenses quickly piled high. Chloe found herself back at square one financially, her accounts nearly emptied, her dreams of financial success vanishing along with the empty bottles of wellness drinks she had stockpiled. The aftermath of this failed venture was tough. I was right there beside her offering support, reminding her that it wasn't the end of the world. Yet, this experience left its mark. Chloe's enthusiasm dimmed, replaced by a shadow of disappointment and some regret. It was hard not to feel frustrated myself watching this crash unfold when it seemed avoidable. Chloe's financial confidence took a hit, but she assured me that she'd learned her lesson and was ready to move forward. But little did we know, this shared journey through financial woes was only the beginning. Time moved on, and Chloe, ever the dreamer, still clung to one vision that brightened her spirits: her dream wedding. Even in the midst of rebuilding her finances, she often spoke of that magical day she envisioned. a day where she could finally step into a fairy tale of her own making. She longed for the kind of wedding most people only see in movies, a grand affair filled with opulence and countless guests. However, reality had a firm grip on her aspirations. The remnants of her savings had barely moved her past survival mode, let alone towards the extravagance she hoped for. Yet, her dream remained intact, a beacon she clung to despite the setbacks and financial scars left by her previous venture. I admired her for dreaming big, but I knew that planning a wedding of that magnitude without a substantial budget was a formidable challenge. Chloe confided in me regularly about the visions she had for her special day. She always believed in the romance of it all, despite the clear obstacles in her path. She'd chat excitedly about venues, dresses, flowers, her list growing long and lavish with each telling. I listened, supportive but realistic, recalling how quickly her plans had derailed before. As her engagement progressed, I noticed Chloe's anxiety about wedding expenses creeping in, clouding her excitement. But it didn't stop her from dreaming or hoping. I often wondered where she'd find the finances for such a lavish event, especially considering her current financial standing. This was a predicament she seemed determined to find a solution for, even if it meant leaning on family support more than we all anticipated. And I, standing firm in my own financial journey for home ownership, began to feel the weight of her hopes encroaching on my savings. Then one day, it all came to a head. As the weeks went by, Chloe's subtle hints about finances became more conspicuous, a blend of humor and genuine request. I tried to ignore it at first, thinking perhaps she'd find an alternate route, a financial plan, or maybe a smaller, intimate wedding that would still hold all the meaning she desired without the substantial financial burden. But that illusion was short-lived. Chloe, with that hopeful yet slightly desperate tone in her voice, cornered me with a direct proposition. "You know," she started, half smiling, "if you even threw in like 10 grand, it would make such a huge difference. You don't really need all that house money right this second, and this is my one shot at the wedding I've always pictured." I was taken aback, caught in a mixture of disbelief and frustration. It wasn't just about the money, it was what her request signified. I knew she cherished this dream and saw it slipping away due to financial constraints. Yet, to me, her proposal felt like an intrusion into my personal plans. Plans I had worked tirelessly to achieve, scrimping and saving with discipline. A future I envisioned for myself and my home. Despite my affection for Chloe, the nerve of the request stung. I had been the sibling who had supported her emotionally through the ups and downs of her multi-level marketing, MLM, experience. I had watched, advised, and offered my shoulder when her financial choices crumbled around her. Yet here she was, suggesting that I jeopardize my future financial security for the sake of a grand wedding. It was too much. Her words echoed in my mind, prompting a sea of emotions that was hard to contain. I knew she wasn't forcefully demanding the money, but the earnestness in her voice, the way she framed it as if it were a minor loan, laid a heavy weight on my shoulders. It was as if she couldn't quite see how much she was asking of me, despite the love we had. I felt trapped between my loyalty and the need to stand firm for my own goals. Understanding that giving in might mean compromising my chance at settling down into the home I had dreamed of. Standing there with Chloe looking at me, eyes wide with hope, I realized I might have to tell her something she wouldn't want to hear. My heart raced, conflicted by the loyalty to my sister and the aspirations I held dear for my own future. In that moment, I realized I had to find a way to express my concerns to Chloe, hoping she'd understand the depth of what she was asking. I knew I had to prepare myself for the possible hurt my decision might cause, for I was about to tread the delicate line between being supportive and being practical, all while holding my ground in the dream I was striving towards. "Chloe, there's a boundary here that I can't cross." I tried to explain, gently but firmly, letting her know how hard-earned every penny in my savings was. "It's not just about the money," I started, feeling the weight of the entire conversation pressing down on us. "I've worked so hard to save this money for a down payment on a house, for my future. It's my dream too." Chloe's face fell, a mixture of disappointment and hurt. "But can't dreams change for family?" she asked, her voice breaking a little. My heart ached, remembering all the moments we'd supported each other through various ups and downs. Yet, I knew lending her the money wasn't the kind of help that would build us both up. Feeling my resolve, I went on, "Helping out doesn't mean risking everything I've planned and saved for. Family means I care about your happiness, yes, but it also means securing my own." Her silence felt heavy, and I saw the tears well up in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Chloe," I whispered, hoping she'd hear the empathy in my words, even if she couldn't accept them fully. In that moment, I worried if our sibling bond could withstand this strain. The guilt weighed down on me like a stone, but I stood firm, realizing sometimes love means holding back so that no one, including yourself, falls into an avoidable pit of regret. Family does mean helping each other, but it doesn't extend to taking over responsibilities so massive they'd drown you financially. I hoped she would come to understand my perspective, even if it took time, and I hoped she'd find another way to achieve her dream wedding without the shadows of past financial mishaps haunting her.